understand they have to stand up for their teams in football. We just think there's other ways to do it. And it has created damage. I mean, I'm not going to shy away from that. And that's just not me speaking. People a lot more important at this university than me feel the same way. So I think it has done some real damage, and I think the ACC knows that.
So that was Pete Bevacqua yesterday, further explaining Notre Dame's frustration with the ACC. Well, now other conferences have entered the chat. Here's Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark weighing in on the debacle.
I don't like how Notre Dame's reacted to it. So, okay, I think Pete's his behavior has been egregious. It's been egregious going after Jim Phillips when they saved Notre Dame during COVID. As Notre Dame and Miami got closer together, head-to-head would be a factor. Okay, BYU lost. They became closer together, head-to-head, and made a difference in that decision. So I think he is totally out of bounds in his approach. And if he was in the room, I'd tell him the same thing.
Paul Finebaum joins us now here on First Take. And Paul, we are in, day 3 of this saga. Now other commissioners are getting involved. What is your reaction to what you heard Brett Yormark say?
I think Yormark is correct, but the real problem goes back to Notre Dame. Pete Bevacqua has said a lot of things, Shae. He hasn't backed up anything. I mean, he just threw a bunch of rocks at the street, but he didn't touch anything. I mean, if he wanted to make a statement, hey, say we're getting out of the ACC, whatever it costs, whatever the legalities, but he didn't do that. He just made a bunch of empty threats, and I think as a result, Notre Dame has lost all credibility in this matter.
All credibility, Stephen A.?
Absolutely. Listen, I think Notre Dame has lost all credibility. Yormark was absolutely correct. He was right on point, and I think it's a big deal to hear somebody like him, who's known and highly respected within the sports world, to come out and to call an athletic director egregious, his behavior egregious. No question about it. Listen, he goes on and he says that, the 10-game winning streak and it's unprecedented in history or whatever. And then Greeny has four better examples this season. This season, for crying out loud. So talk about engaging in hyperbole. I usually thought that was left to children or pundits on the air, for crying out loud. I didn't know that ADs participated in such things. But nevertheless, that's what Bevacqua did. And in the end, what it comes down to is this. Listen, Notre Dame prides itself on its independence, solely with football. Let's remind the world that they are associated with the ACC conference in every single sport but football and hockey. That's it. Think about that for a second. So in other words, you got the ACC, they step in when you don't have a conference during COVID. They step in, they help you out. You don't sit up there and repay them by becoming a part of their conference. No, you still say that was a one-year deal, but now that things are inching back to normal, we still going to hold on to our independence because we have no desire to look out for you like you looked out for us and be a part of your conference, uplift it, and share revenue with it. This is the decision that they made. And then what is the crime committed by Commissioner Phillips in the ACC? That he was looking out for an ACC team. That was his crime. Everything that the AD for Notre Dame is doing to look out for Notre Dame, the commissioner of the ACC was doing to look out for the ACC. You're knocking him for doing what you're doing. Think about that. It makes no sense. The more this AD for Notre Dame opens his mouth, the more embarrassing he becomes by the day. He needs to zip it, sit his behind down, go back to his office, or just admit that you're clamoring for camera time, because that's usually reserved for Marcus Freeman and the players. There's no reason for us to see or hear from the AD of Notre Dame, especially now, because every single day he opens his mouth, he is embarrassing himself more and more and more by the hour. Shut up. Sit down. Go back to your office and contemplate whether or not you're ready to adapt to the changing times and join a conference instead of maintaining your independence so you could keep all the bag for yourself. It worked against you this time around, and it's likely going to work against you in the future, in large part because of how he has opened his mouth.
Paul?
Exactly right. And the conference issue is so important. And I think sometimes we forget, Shae, about the ACC connection. And I want to go back to something Yormark said a minute ago. In 2020, the conferences were in trouble. We all remember the Big Ten, the Pac-12, Stephen A. didn't join the SEC and the ACC and the Big 12 until 2 months after they started playing games. Notre Dame didn't have anyone to play. They couldn't get any games, so they joined the ACC in football for that 1 year. The ACC said, come on in, and Notre Dame not only got to the championship game, but made the playoffs as a result. And what happened the next year when the ACC said, hey, you're part of our league in 24 sports, why don't you come in football? Notre Dame gave them the middle finger. We're too good for you. We don't need you. And that's what irritates everyone in the college football circle, because Notre Dame is so self-centered, so egotistical, so arrogant, and quite frankly, so disgusting about this one issue that you're getting very strange reaction. People criticizing other ADs and commissioners, which we don't normally see. It's a good old boys club, Stephen, as you know. And this is a bad moment. Notre Dame could have taken the medicine, say we deserve to be in, and you know what? They could have let Marcus Freeman be the front man, because he is respected by everyone. And Pete Bevacqua, who was respected, this is a guy that played golf a couple of months ago, Stephen A., in August, with Greg Sankey and President Trump, trying to figure out the problems of college football. He was on that level. He was the go-to person for the President of the United States, and now he is a laughingstock, and that's bad for Notre Dame.
One of the reasons that all of this stuff is so chaotic right now, it's on purpose. It's my belief, Paul. It's on purpose. Here's the reason why. You never was receptive to NIL, transfer portals, things of that nature. We know that student athletes were being exploited by the NCAA for years. So what happens? How do we sit up there having to surrender to the changing times because of the exploitation that we engaged in for so many years? How do we address that? How do we fix it for ourselves to try to get things back to normal to some degree? You know what you do? You let chaos reign. Because by letting chaos reign, it forces the government to say, what the hell is going on here? We need to make sure this house gets in order so we can protect the sanctity of quote unquote amateur sports, at least to some degree, find a way to look out for the student athlete, but in the same breath, get some level of core certainty on the part of the NCAA and its institutions under its umbrella so we can move forward in some kind of coordinated fashion and things don't end up too chaotic. That's why you have those elected officials that I brought up that have been working diligently to address this problem. The point that I'm making is it don't involve Pete Bevacqua because this guy, because this guy, his behavior resembles what the NCAA made so problematic for so long because they wanted the bag for themselves and they didn't want to share it with the students. Well, this guy right here wants the bag for himself and don't want to share it with any other conference. And it's ended up costing them, it's cost him his reputation. And by the way, Paul, we can't rule out whether or not it might cost him his head coach. Floor is yours, Shae. Okay. I know that was a good transition.
Thank you. It was a good transition, but we're not going to get to what you think we're going to get to just now. I will say this about Pete Bevacqua. He has to serve, obviously, as the athletic director, but he also serves as the commissioner because Notre Dame is independent. So he's a little bit of both there. So that is why he's having these kinds of meetings and does have to go to a podium. He has to answer for an entire university who is well-respected. Notre Dame is a well-respected university. They have a well-respected coach. They were in the national championship game a year ago. Now, we can disagree with what he's saying, but that's why he has to go to a podium and speak and defend his entire university. Go ahead.
You love that movie, Shae. Jerry Maguire. You had me at hello. You know what? Well, you lost me when you said he's really a commissioner, de facto commissioner as well. No, he's not. He is not. He represents one institution, not a league, himself, his institution. That's it. That's the problem. If he represented a league, maybe he'd have some empathy for what Phillips was doing. Maybe he'd have a degree of understanding, even though I can't understand why it's such a struggle for him since basically that's how he's acted over the last few years, his damn self.
But I completely agree. And if I could say something here, I just heard the campaign slogan of the 48th president of the United States, Stephen Anthony Smith. Stephen A., I like that. Where do I send a donation?
No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. I like my life. I'm cool. I'm just making the point that, you know what, if you're about winning, because everything under you is so beautiful, it's so marvelous, it's so wonderful, why the hell are you golfing with that guy? Friendship, runs thick, I guess, because right now, Bevacqua, I don't know anybody that wants to be near him right now. Every time he's opened his mouth over the last 48 hours, he has sounded worse and worse. Seriously.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch him walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance.